From what you've seen, Colonel Nyiam, do you think that we are deploying technology adequately for this? I say that because we've spent so much on our satellite systems here. The Navy, or was it not the Army, the other day that were talking about this locally manufactured drones. There's so many options available in this 21st century. Do you think that we're taking advantage of some of this?
I think that I can say that the armed forces, that is the military, the Army, Navy, and Air Force, and I might also add the other three agencies, the NIA, the SSS, and the DIA, are using the best and are doing the best with what they have. I know, and I think they need more high tech. You know, high tech is expensive, and when equipment costs so much, so they need. You are right. Then we need to give more priority to this, and in doing this, we must ensure that there is accountability. That is, the money is used where it has been estimated to be used. We cannot run away. And again, we need support in that respect. We need support for training. Not only sending our people on courses, but we need people who will come here and train and help us in the training. There's no doubt about it that we need this. But you see, people should know that in fighting asymmetric war, it takes a long time and involves more people. And side by side with the immediate military response, there is a need for the political response. The political response is what I think the president has done, the dialogue we are having by way of the national conference. I think it's a high time my colleagues and delegates in the national conference realize that we have a responsibility. The responsibility is not for us to be defending our corners. We must realize that we as a people are under attack, and we must rise up by looking at things much more dispassionately and taking a much more informed, not opinionated approach to the challenges we are facing.
Let me get your thoughts on this matter, because you talked about it previously before we continue looking at some of these other options. The local communities and states. Have you seen enough buying in on the part of the local communities where some of these things are happening, and the states?
Not at all. Not at all. That's the issue. It's only in the last few weeks that one begins to see the sign. But before some months ago, the locals were not as, to them, because they were not involved. And I was very happy that the last national security meeting that was held, it was much more, the governors were brought in, and I think the governors need to be brought in more. So it's necessary to bring in more of the locals. And the locals themselves now realize that it is no more a war against anybody else. It's a war against each one of us. It's so sad, my brothers and sisters, that right now we have our girls, kids, being hijacked and taken to somewhere else. These are children of a Nigerian like me and you. So it's a high time we stop playing partisan politics. At times, I'm so sad that when I hear politicians trying to make political gains out of what we are going through. In every other climb, is this a time where it is bipartisan? It is all hands are put on deck. And of course, this is why I think, like it was done by the president, I commend the mode and the posture being adopted recently by the respectable General Muhammad Buhari. We all have to get our hands on deck in this fight. And that's why, again, I commend the likes of Colonel Dangiwa Umar, who, as it were, has been very patriotic in teaching people, some governors, that their utterances are irresponsible, to say the least. A governor making accusations against his own country, a governor with a military background accusing his own country, falsely and arrogantly.
Let's even talk about this conference. I mean, some of the matters that are going on, take security for instance now. What can the national conference, which is ongoing at the moment, do to sort this out? Anything possible?
The National Security, I'm a member of the National Security Committee of the conference. Now, I must here beg that whilst we have this need to respond to the immediate, what I would call military rapid response to what is going on now, we must not lose focus that in all this, in an absence of the right political economic structure, we would keep on having the crisis we're having. Today, it is Boko Haram. Tomorrow, it will be something else. What am I saying in effect? I'm saying that we must stop this attitude of denying that as we are presently constituted, the constitution we have now, in other words, our mode of coexistence engenders grievances and disgruntlement that can lead to violent expression as we are now experiencing. For national security to be national security, it must be spiritual in the sense of freedom of worship, social in the sense that people will determine how they want to live their life, political, to cite an example, we must stop paying lip service to free and fair election, economic in the sense that we must realize that an economy which does not allow room for manufacturing, for production, which is an economy which depends on selling only money, as we are doing, would create massive gaps that people will exploit to now hit back at the same economy. So what am I saying? I'm saying, to use an acronym which now has come into my mind, that we need specs, that is social, political, and economic security. Is when our leaders start thinking in these terms, rather than thinking in terms of security of the government of the day, that is regime security, we would then expand our perspective so that the police IG or AIG is not defending his corner or defending his job. He should realize that he needs people to complement his efforts so that he can zoom in and focus on his own aspects, which is to defend federal related laws. It should allow other agencies to be devolved to defend local and municipal laws. And I cannot run away from the fact that we need to involve our people in the security. You see, in any economy where there's so much gap between the rich and the poor, you get this. In an economy where people can be part of the determining how their life would be by jobs, you have less of this. So those of us who are members of the conference should think of, we must, in this our deliberations, we must come up with resolutions that go to change the political structure we have.